To the editing tutorial for these effects. I'm really excited to show you how to use them because they are so amazing and so much fun to play with. So let's get started. If you go into your Lightroom Develop module and just click the plus sign over here, import presets, and import the downloaded folder that you got, they're going to show up in your Lightroom like this, and these are kind of what they look like. So I'm just going to explain these a little bit on this picture that's really blank, nothing really to it. I mean, she's literally just standing against a blank wall, and show you kind of what the different effects do. So let's get started. The first few here are a bunch of different light shadows. They're light features that are added onto the picture versus these ones down here are shadows that are added onto the picture, and I'm just gonna kind of show you what those look like and how they differentiate from each other while you're editing. So for example, this the exposure of the picture stays exactly the same because we're just adding this light feature on there. And what you can do is go in and click the brush tool, click on the preset itself. I'm going to go down to click erase and just erase it off of her pants here so that it looks like it's just on the wall, which is really amazing. And I think this looks really amazing. I mean, it totally transforms this picture from a blank wall to something that looks really unique. It's kind of like the light that you're always looking for just to create something different in a picture. So I really love this effect. And then I'll show you the difference between adding a shadow. So say we want to add like this shadow onto the image. You can see that the exposure of the picture changes a lot because all of this shadow is added in and the light is kind of the original exposure of the picture itself. So you can click on the effect here and you can move it around. I might move it so that the light is hitting her face just how I want it to. And then oftentimes when I add a shadow effect, I might just need to go in and change the exposure a little bit so that the picture looks how I want it to. So, and if you ever want to go in and change, I mean, I don't often actually erase from the shadow, just because instead of erasing the light, you're going to be erasing part of the shadow. And that's definitely the biggest difference between these two while you're editing with them. And then if you can also go into these effects and change like exposure, like if you want them to be darker or brighter. You can also change the temperature if you want the shadow to have a little bit of a cool effect, which obviously this looks maybe not great, but you could make it a little bit warmer and that could definitely work. So it's up to you what you want to do and how you want to use these. So that's a little overview of just the difference between the light effects and the shadow effects. And then make sure that you also download your plugin manager because I like to use multiple at the same time. And in order to use like both a light effect and a shadow effect at the same time, you're going to have to use the plugin to add two different effects onto the same image. So I'm just going to show you how that would work here. So I really loved the first one, that I'm just going to click it from this menu and add onto the picture. And then I really liked, let's see, maybe we'll add in one of these shadows down here and add that in. So you can see both of these are now added at the same time, and then you can go into each effect individually and change what they look like. So I added a shadow, which I'm just going to increase the brightness a little bit so it's not as harsh. Right there. And then go into the light and just once again erase it off of her hands at the bottom here. which I think looks so amazing. So yeah, that is kind of just a little bit of an overview. I feel like you can take like such a plain image and turn it into something so amazing with these effects. It's so fun. Okay, let's go to this image, which I really actually love the simplicity of this image, but there is just a lot of open space, and adding in a light feature just so dramatically changes it. So I'm going to show you. I'll go in here, click the effect, click erase. I'm just going to kind of like soften the erase tool, and I'm just going to, if you click O, it'll show you where the effect is added, and I'm just going to erase it off of her in this area right here. And there is now a shadow on the wall, which I think looks so amazing. How fun is that? So, oh, looks so good. Wait, there's still some over here. I'm just going to make sure I erase all of this. So fun. I also really like to use this effect on details because I feel like details really do stand out when you have some sort of light and shadow that's happening. And you can go in, I might just make sure that some of these words are coming through and not being taken out by the light. I think that looks so good. I might also just add in a shadow, which sometimes I'll go and just see what the shadows look like here. Which I really like this one. So I'm just gonna go and add in, yeah, amazing, cool. Another thing to know about these effects is they don't have any color on them except for this one, which I'll show you guys in a second. So you can add in an effect, which I honestly feel like this looks like you're almost like shooting through a piece of glass, which looks so amazing. But you can add it to black and white pictures too, and you're not going to have to change anything unless you add some sort of cool warm feature here. They don't have any color in them, so you can add them to black and white pictures too, which is so convenient. I'll show you this one. So a lot of these light features look really, really good at sunset too. And it honestly just like elevates what's already happening. I'm just going to move this down a little bit and kind of adds in a little bit of light on the wall, and it looks really natural in sunset because light flares like this kind of happen anyways. So I feel like that looks so amazing. Is another detail image that I'm just going to bring in. We can add in this one, but I'm actually going to move it up so we can add it onto the wall up here, which I feel like looks really amazing. And I'm just going to erase it off of these details here. So that they don't get blown out. So cool. And then I might actually just go into the original image and darken it a little bit so you can kind of see the light effects in the background a little bit more. Look at that. How fun is that? Another way that I've been using these is adding it to an image, which this is just something you need to know too, is I'm kind of like a cropping fanatic, and you want to add the effect onto your picture and then crop the image. If you crop your image first and then add the effect, it'll kind of show a little bit of the detail from the light and shadow, and it's just not going to look as good. So I'll go in and add an effect, and I'll show you how I would use this. And then I'll go into crop and crop like a crazy person this image. And you can see this effect kind of just like, ooh, brings in some light in the corner, which I think looks really cool. And I'm just going to decrease the effect so that it's not as strong. And I think that looks so cool. But if I cropped it first and then added the effect, you'll be able to see kind of some of the detail, and it's not going to look as good. So if that's happening to your picture, it's because you cropped it first. So just make sure that you add the effect and then do any sort of cropping. So yeah, that was kind of an overview of like all these light presets. And I'm going to show you light 4, which is the probably the most unique one of all of these, because it's kind of supposed to emulate light rays that are coming in from above, which I think is really, really amazing in waterfall situations or like really forested situations when the light is naturally falling from above, but sometimes it can kind of just be a little bit bland. And so because it's supposed to emulate sunset or sunlight, it has a bit of a color to it. And so adding this onto a black and white picture is going to change the color of the image, and so I would use this just for color pictures. And you can move it here and kind of see where you want these sun rays to fall in the picture. I'm just going to move it a little bit to the left, and you can see the before and after of what that looks like, which totally just elevates this picture completely. It's so amazing. And I'll show you how this looks in a forested situation too. So I'll add this light flare in and move it just a little bit to the left so you can see. And then I'm just going to actually go in to the image and make it a little bit darker, and there you can kind of see the effect a little bit more. I think it looks so cool. It's like the light that you want in a forest, but you don't always have, especially in Oregon where it's cloudy all the time. Okay, so that was all the light effects. I'm going to go in and show you now how I use some of these shadows. So it's so funny. This is actually the shadow effect that I wanted from this picture, but it just wasn't coming in as strong. And so being able to add the effect itself is kind of mind-blowingly cool. So I'm just going to move it so that it looks like the light that's coming in from the window itself, and kind of keeping these as natural as possible is definitely going to just elevate your images. And then of course with the shadows, I generally will have to go in and just make sure that the exposure is exactly what I want it to be. But look at this. Amazing! And I add these shadow effects to regular pictures too. You just have to go in, like I'm just going to add this like little effect on the wall here because I think it looks amazing, and then I just have to go in and adjust to the exposure contrast maybe of the image to make sure that it's compensating, and yeah, amazing. I am going to use that same one here, which I'm going to show you this idea as well. So if you open your plugin, and I'll just add, I wanted to add 1B, which oftentimes also I'll go to the side, I'll kind of see like what these presets look like and which one I want to add, and then you can go to the plugin, and I'm just gonna make it twice as big so that the shadow, you're basically just literally making it twice as big. I'm gonna bring the exposure down a little bit, and because it was like it's too small to fit from the corner of the picture all the way down to where they are, and so to make it look and feel as natural as possible, I just doubled the size of it. And you can see, like, especially in an image like this where there's just a lot going on, you know, the background is really busy, and there's not necessarily like a really clear light source, like there's not light coming in from anywhere, there's just kind of light all around. Using this to bring focus on them is a game changer. This is another image which I added a light feature to. I'll show you how cool it looks. Just kind of looks like, if I bring it up here, it kind of looks like their hands are, I'm going to line it up with their hands. It looks like their hands are kind of almost like there's fog in the room, which there was, but the light just wasn't doing this. But if you line it up to make it look like their fingers are creating these shadows, so fun. And then I'm just going to soften it a little bit and change the exposure a little bit, like that. Looks so good. Yeah. Okay, this picture looks so great anyways, and the light is coming in from the side here, and I honestly just kind of want to accentuate that a little bit. So same issue here, the light is, the effect is just a little bit smaller than I want it to be, so I'm gonna go in to the plugin, make it double the size, and add it so that it can come all the way from the left side of the picture down onto her face, which I think that looks so crazy good, and is what I was going for originally and just couldn't quite get it. There's also some effects in here that are just a little bit more subtle, because you don't always want to have, you know, like a huge shadow in the picture, or a light feature. But I'm just always using light and shadow to create emphasis and focus, and so some of these other shadow features are just a little bit more subtle. So this one is kind of a little bit more of just like a vignette around the picture, but a really, really natural one because it's from a real shadow. Same with this, it just kind of brings in like a gradient at the bottom from a real shadow. This one comes in on the side, which I'll show you how you can move that around the picture too. So we can use this one. And I'm just going to go in and make it a little bit darker to help emphasize kind of like where I want the focus in the picture to be in the first place. I think that looks amazing. here's another detail image that we can add one of these different shadows to make it a way cooler detail image than it was originally. So I'm just going to add this shadow here and then go back to the picture and just adjust the exposure. The shadow added a little bit of like a greenish tone, so I'm just actually going to go in and let's see, warm it up a little bit so it kind of matches the original image a little bit. And I think that looks a lot better. And so much more interesting than when it was just plain. Here is another just huge landscape image where I would use one of these kind of like softer shadows. Probably this one. This one brings in, because it's kind of like a vignette around the image, it brings in some of the features in the sky, which is sometimes really hard to do in a really subtle way. And so I really, really love it for that. And I think that it looks so much better when you can see some more of that detail. So I think that looks really good. Same thing with this picture. I might just use one of these softer shadows that brings in a little bit of a shadow to the bottom of the image. It kind of feels like the light rays from the forest, like forest pictures, waterfall pictures like these, the light tends to come in from above because you're either in a canyon or the light from the forest comes in from above, and so kind of emulating that while you're editing. When the light comes in, sometimes it's lighter on the bottom of the picture than the top, but I like to invert it because it just looks cooler. So keeping the top part of the image a lot lighter and then bringing in a shadow to the bottom of the picture, I think just makes it look so much better. And then this last shadow effect here is kind of like these shadow effects add in a shadow to the bottom of the picture, and then this effect adds it to the top of the picture, which I'll show you. That looks like here. You can brighten it to make it a little bit more subtle, but it just kind of brings back the sky, brings back some more of this detail while keeping your subject the brightest part of the image in a really subtle way. And I think this here just looks like you wouldn't know that there's an effect on it. And I think that that's what I love about it the most, is they stand out from a really busy background just by changing where the light and the shadows fall in the picture. So yeah, once you kind of get used to what they all are and what the light are, you can kind of start combining multiple. So I might, let's see, maybe add in 4 and 1. This kind of looks like light that might be coming in from the window. So first start by adding 4, make sure this is back to 100, and add that in. It's been added twice. Make sure to remove that. Add it in. Why is this exciting? Because there's 2. Okay. It's because I added it first and then I added it in here. So you have to make sure that you're not adding it twice. So, okay, start from the beginning. Don't worry, I got this. Let's add in 4. And then also add in, one. Maybe we'll bring it down to like 80% too. So it's just softer. And it looks so amazing. I'm softening that up just a little bit more too. I'm bringing this shadow, light shadow, right where I want the focus of the image to be. And this just like looks like there's beautiful light coming in from the window, which is so cool. And we can do the same thing here. So we will add in more and bring that right where we want it, and then add in 1. And I still have them at 80%, which I think looks really good. And then this looks like beautiful light coming in from the window, and I'm just going to go in and erase some of this on them so it looks just a little bit more, a little bit easier to look at. So fun. So that's kind of my overview of how to use these. I definitely suggest using multiple at the same time because I think it can really, really change your images, and using them, you know, as naturally as possible. But they're so, so fun, and I'm really, really excited, and I hope that you loved this tutorial and that you love these effects.